Canes lead the series over the Caps 1-0. Going into Game 2, they want to build off of Game 1. And they should be prepared for a defiant pushback from Washington. That's what I'm fairly confident about. Is that an 0-2 hole for Washington feels like a death certificate for Washington. Now, if I'm Carolina, I don't think a 2-0 lead you count it as anything, but it certainly feels the other way for them. So they will fight like it is a must-win game. They will fight. They'll dig deeper. They'll find something more than they had in Game 1. Game 1 was hard, but Game 2 will be harder. And that's the beauty of the playoffs. That's why you do it. That's why you do it. Rod Brind'amour spoke to the media yesterday, and he talked about the ability they had to win Game 1, despite, obviously, on the road not being able to control matchups as well.
I think every coach goes into the game, okay, maybe I'll play this line against that line, but at this stage of the season with the teams that are left, it's probably less of a big deal. You know, everybody's got good players, and there's really no real weaknesses. So I think the matchups become less of a big deal, if that makes sense. So, yeah, I mean, obviously you have certain guys you'd like to see out there against other guys, but like I said, at this time of year, everyone's got to be able to play.
Everybody's got to be ready to play, and that's part of what I think is the secret sauce for the Canes. Not just the depth, but the fact that kind of anybody can grab the bull by the horns, so to speak. You can have a stretch where somebody like Stankoven is buzzing and is kind of dominating the game, or you can have a stretch where one of your established stars, like Jacob Slavin, dominates the game, and they can alternate and find a way. Now, here's where it's tough as a member of the team or a fan of the team that wins Game 1. In the manner that they did. I'll put it this way. I was a guest on a DC radio station today previewing, right? Just like we have people to preview the other team. I jumped on 106.7 up there in DC, and I genuinely had this thought going into the interview. How almost openly honest do I want to be about Game 1? Because if I talk honestly about how I felt about Game 1, it really sets up them as a station to have the clip from the Canes guy that's, you know, they play if and it's a big if, the Caps can turn some things around. Because if I speak honestly about Game 1, domination, right? We said it yesterday on our network where it's a little bit safer. 33 and some odd minutes of possession in the offensive zone, the out shooting numbers, the quite frankly, dominance across multiple different aspects of the game, that is unbelievable. But it's also unbelievable about Game 1. And you start to wade into interesting territory if you think that sort of thing automatically translates. Because Game 1 does lead into Game 2. You want to build off of it, but nothing you did in Game 1 guarantees you anything in Game 2. Something like out-physicaling, right? Because that was the theme going in. I don't know if that's even a verb. But
we'll take it.
Going into the series, that was the like cliff notes of this series, right? It was physicality against speed. It was big brutes against finesse, right? That was the over like the national outlook on this series. Now we knew better, and I would say Caps fans probably knew better as well. But the Canes were the more physical team in Game 1. That's a great opening statement. Love it. That out hitting them is unbelievable. But you got to do it again. And that's part of it, right? You can't come out and assume that, we really beat them up in that first one. Now we're the physical. No, you got to do it again. Martinook, that's obviously Jordan Martinook, some would say the heart and soul of the team, spoke to the media yesterday and talked about the hits and how they had the puck a lot and still found a way to tally up those hits. Here's Martinook.
We play a lot in the ozone, and we
that's obviously a strength of our team is you're playing offensive in the offensive zone, and usually when you have the puck, you're not throwing as many hits, and for the most part when we're on it, we have the puck more than the other team, and that's why maybe we don't hit as much. But I think when you get into playoffs, every team's thinking you can wear guys down or just make people second guess a decision if you're and it's not like we're going out trying to make huge hits every shift. It's just try and take a piece here, take a piece there, and that's playoff hockey. Every team's trying to do the same thing.
Listen, there is a first of all a trust that has to be in Rod Brind'amour, and I have full trust. By the way, do you know what we're celebrating today, Dennis?
What's that?
The 7-year anniversary of Rod Brind'amour being named the head coach of Carolina.
That's right.
It was May 8th, 2018.
Look at that.
Isn't it a coincidence that's also when the Canes started winning again? What a coincidence! Right around the same time, those two things happened.
Weird.
So there is, for me at least, an ultimate trust in Rod Brind'amour. But you have to walk the line behind if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Game 1 was awesome. And making the proper adjustments and changing or going further down paths of what you did well, right? Like it's not going to be the exact same. Although if you could get the same flow, the same tempo, the same style, then you would. It's just not going to be that easy because Washington's going to make their adjustments. And then I don't know if we talked about this enough yesterday, so I want to make sure we hit it kind of right at the top of the show today. Do you know what was an underrated part of Game 1? Freddie faced 14 shots. Right? The shots on goal discrepancy was talked about a lot, but usually it came from the angle of how often the Canes were testing the other end, right? How many shots they were able to get on goal, and 6 guys with at least 3 shots on goal, and even Slavin had 5 shots on goal. That's where it came from. But 14 for Freddie?
In an overtime game.
In an overtime game. That needs to be talked about. And right, the other reason why that stood out to me is in that same interview, the Caps hosts asked me, hey, Freddie faced 14 shots. Do you see that happening again? And I was like, no. Not because I don't love the blue line of the Canes, not because their system isn't awesome, not because they don't possess the puck, but because 14 is really difficult to do. Right? Anything that's that dominant is very unlikely to happen back-to-back, so Freddie's going to have to be better. And the blue line's going to have to work just as hard, even if they're giving up a few more shots and have that amnesia and all the other things that you need out of your defense. Game 1 was awesome, and is it setting us up for a down? I don't think so. Not if the Canes keep building off of it. But that's where the culture and everything we talk about with the Canes has to shine through. An inexperienced team, or inexperienced might not be the right word, an immature team would watch Game 1 and then high-five each other and show up dead to Game 2 on the road. And by the way, going 1-1 on the road in a Stanley Cup playoff series is already good. So you've solidified that, but you can't ever think that you've solidified something good. It's that mind game that's going to be fun to see them navigate.
I always say, the pressure's on Washington. If I'm Carolina, I'm making them feel that pressure even more as the seconds tick away because they don't want to come to Raleigh down 2-0. Make them feel the pressure every time they step on the ice.
And then, right, the next step is once you make them feel that pressure, be ready for them to lash out in every direction. And be ready to keep your emotions in check because they will feel their life bleeding from their very eyes.
If they do that, I say good.
No, I agree.
Means you got them exactly where you want them.
I 100% agree. You just can't stoop, right? You can't stoop to their level.